in Hecholis HaTzadikim, and the Simcha that's in Gan Eden HaTachten, Gan Eden HaElyon, and he spoke about a Yortzeit. Rebbe. And then the Frierdiker Rebbe concluded, in the name of his father, the Rebbe Rashab, that it's one thing for sure, that in the Yortzeit of a tzaddik, in the Yortzeit of a Rebbe, the Rebbeim are ma'orer rachmim for all the Chassidim, for them, for their wives, their children, but this is only a general hisayrus rachmim, an awakening of mercy in general. But, he says, the Chassidim, they make a limud on that day. They set aside a time with a Chassidish verbringen. Then it's a completely different kind of a Seder Sachmen for them. Because this limud and this verbringen, this is like a pidyon nefesh that Chassidim give to the Baal HaYilula. Tafshin Yud Aleph, I think the Rebbe said, that if you knew that Mittler Rebbe today is accepting pidyonis, so everyone will be running to give him a pidyon. The Rebbe says, by making a verbringen and saying a pesavart from the middle, learning of art from the Mittler Rebbe, that's the way you give a pidyon nefesh to the Mittler Rebbe. So Chaim, the Eibshter helping that our limud today, Maimer of the Rebbe Rashab, it's really one well of Chassidus. There should be ma'ared all the Nachman that we need, and finally bring the Geula Amitis V'Ashlema take of Miyad Mamash. Amen. Chaim. It's surely for Kedai, everyone should give tzedakah, and like the Rebbe said by the Verbringen then, it says right now we're Verbringen. After Verbringen, Kedai, everyone should, when they go home, they should learn something from Mittler Rebbe. Especially that tonight is Yud Kislev. It's the Chag HaGeula of the Mittler Rebbe. And since Geula means that the Sharei HaGeula are open, we should keep it open and jump through into the Geula Amitis V'Ashlema. Amen. Right now, we are going to continue the Maimer. We are up to page 9, halfway down the page, in a line that begins with the word Bevechinas Ein Aroich Chulu. Bevechinas Ein Aroich Chulu. We're in the middle of that line. Vezeu Sha'amru Razal. So the Rebbe Rashab was telling us that the difference between before Matan Torah and after Matan Torah was in two different aspects. The Aves that did the mitzvahs before Matan Torah, they took their Mesiras Nefesh. The Yidden after Matan Torah doesn't take a Mesiras Nefesh. Just get up and do the mitzvah. Another thing, that the Aves only reached up to the Sheidish of Nivraim, up to Atzilus. But they couldn't reach higher. We, through Matan Torah, of course, the Eibshter gave us Torah, beginning with Anochi Hashem Alikecha, Anochi Misha Anochi. What is Anochi Misha Anochi? The Madreg, which is higher than all Shemos, higher than any level that you could only say on it Anochi. That level, the Eibshter brought down to us, to the Yidden. Through every mitzvah we do, we bring down more of Atzmos and Mahus, Ein Sof Baruch Hu, into the world. Those are the two things that make it different, the mitzvahs before Matan Torah, the mitzvahs after Matan Torah. Now the Rebbe is going to bring a medrash. V'zeu shomra Razal. This is what the Razal say. Al pasuk. It said l'reach shmanecha toivim is a pasuk in Shir Hashirim. It's saying shmanecha, your oils, toivim, they're good for what? L'reach, for fragrance. And then the next part of the pasuk says another 3 words. It says shemen turak shemecha, that your name is like pouring oil. And the Medrash teaches it like this: that your oils are good for smell, for fragrance. Fragrance is referring to the mitzvahs of the avos before Matan Torah. Then the mitzvahs are only like a fragrance. It's not like oil. What's the difference between fragrance and the oil? Fragrance is something you can't touch. It's not tangible. It's not mamashis. It's not a substance. Kol ha-mitzvahs shasu all the mitzvahs that the avis did, reichos hayu. They're only in the level of reichos, fragrances, smells. Aval anu. But yitnu, when they do the mitzvahs, shemen turak shemecha, like shemen, oil that's being poured over. The varim shemerikin mikeli el keli, like a substance that you're pouring from one glass to another glass. It's something which has a substance to it. That's our mitzvahs. Peirush. Rebbe explains. Reyach huraka'ara. When you have the fragrance of something, it's not the thing itself. When you smell a good perfume, it doesn't mean necessarily you're touching the perfume. You're just smelling a ha'ara, something which it gives off, an offshoot from it. That was by till Matan Torah. It wasn't a real substantial mitzvah. It was a mitzvah, but it was totally ruchnius, spiritual. But by us, shemen turak. It's like pouring real oil, which bechinas atzmis chulu. It's the essence itself. Nimtza. So what do we get from this? Although that Avraham Avinu fulfilled all the whole Torah, and this is, he's summarizing what we learned last week. Ha Aleph, the Kiyama Mitzvah Shaloi, Hayib Nefesh Dafka. By Avraham, his mitzvahs were fulfilled. Dafka took Mesiras Nefesh. He had to be ready to give up his life. But the mitzvahs that we do today, now, ain't tzarich Mesiras Nefesh. You don't need Mesiras Nefesh. What do you need? Rak, l'kaim, the tzayne yisparich. Take the period full and put it on. Take the coin, put it into a pushka. Do the mitzvah poil mamash. That's number 1. Habeis, the gamba Mesiras Nefesh shalai. Even with Avram's Mesiras Nefesh, lo'yimshech rak b'chinas chitzaynis. You know how far he got? Only chitzaynis ha'ayr. Vayidei mehamitzes shenitnu lanu. But through the mitzvahs given to us, mamshichem b'chinas atzmus ein sof chulu. We bring down much, much higher level. We bring down mamash atzmus. So that's, at first glance, the difference between Avraham Avinu and us. But here the Rebbe is going to tell us a chidush. This is the way things are, technically speaking, according to the way things are set up. But Hashem went out of his way and giving us giving him, Avraham, an extra chesed, b'chinas rav chesed. The Eibishter gave Avram something extra special, an extra gift. He says, I'm going to give you also a bligvul, just like the Yidden after Matan Torah. And that's why, Scharchar b'ma'id. That's the chiddush of this pasuk. The Anochi Mugain Loch, because what you're doing, I'm giving it to you in a way of Anochi Mugain Loch, as the Rebbe Rashab will soon explain what does it mean, Anochi Mugain Loch. But therefore, Scharchar b'ma'id. You're getting something extraordinary. Anochi Mugain Loch. And here the Rebbe is going to take apart the words, the three words. What's Anochi Mugain Loch? Anochi Mugain Loch. The same level that the Yidden have the koyach by Matan Torah from Anochi Hashem Elikecha to bring down from Anochi from Atzmos Amos. By Abraham also from Anochi Nimshach Liyos Mugain Loch. That gives you the ability to reach Bligvul. Lachain, and therefore, Kashem Shebemitzis Hashekadishon B'mitzvaysav. Just like in mitzvahs we explained earlier, the Asher Kidishanu B'mitzvaysav, the Abish's mitzvahs, that the Yidden reach such a high level, Kaidish Elyon, Nim Shach Mebechinas Atzmas Ein Sav. Why do Yidden get the level of B'mitzvaysav, Asher Kidishanu? Kidishanu, which means Kodesh HaElyon, and b'mitzvaysav, not mitzvahs. The Eibush says mitzvahs because it comes from Atzmos. It comes from the Eibush himself, from Anochi. Nimshach mebechinas Atzmos ein sav, mipnei she'em mebechinas Anochi. U'kamei shekosav Anochi Hashem Elikecha. Bechinas Anochi misha Anochi, I myself, who I am in my essence, came likewise. The Eibush is telling Avraham that you should know Anochi through your avodah Anochi Mugain Loch. Hagam shezom tzadatzmai. Even though you're doing this whole avodah mikoyches atzmai, you didn't do it because the Eibush gave you the mitzvahs by Matan Torah. You're doing it on your own. So how can you do more? How can you get more than Sheidash and Ivrahim? The Eibush is giving him a treat. It's because he's doing something which is mitzadatzmai. We'll begin its gvul. Cholu. Mikol Makaim, says the Eibush, Anochi Mugain Loch. I'm giving you from the level of Anochi. Umshum zeh scharchar b'ma'id b'v'chinas nitzchi cholu. What did Avraham do to deserve this? V'zeu al yedei tzirfai b'kivshan ha'esh. Because Avraham went through a great nisayon. He became purified through the kivshan ha'esh, so he merited something which is way above his avodah. Just like by any nisayon, when anyone goes through a nisayon, it brings a person to a much higher level. And now the Rebbe is going to start talking about us and about our nisyonos and how we reach a high level through nisyonos. So the Rebbe is going to start now talking about the avodah hanisyonos that are given to you, both by the Avos, by Avraham, and to us. The Hine Ksiv, the Hine. It says in the pasuk, Kiminas Hashem Elikechem Eschem Lo Das Chulu. Hashem is testing the Yidden, Lo Das, to know. Hayishchem Oyavim Es Hashem. Do you love Hashem? See, this explains that the word Lo Das is actually the fruit and the result of the Nisayon. Ki menat Hashem Elikechem Lo Das, the inyan hanisayon hu shemailim umaste b'yosel ha'oyer ha'eliki. It covers over on the oyer ha'eliki, and by a yid standing strong by the nisayon reaches Lo Das. What is Lo Das? There's Chachma, there's Bina, and there's Das. Chachma is the Barak HaMavrik, when you get the flash in your mind, the idea. Bina is understanding it. What's Das? Das says Al Trebin, Perigimel and Tanya, Meloshin is kashrus. To the extent that it brings you to a level of hakara. This is an extreme high level. To reach the level of hakara. Hakara means recognizing it as if you're seeing it with your eyes. You know, we can learn and learn and learn. But when you reach das, hakara, that's not just another level of understanding, another level of hasaga. The das means mamish hakara, recognizing the thing as if you're seeing it with your own eyes. It's something which it's undisputable. How does that happen? Because what's in the saying? Shemaylim u'master b'yoser al ha'eliki. For example, ukmai. What do we see? And what did Avraham Avinu see? Madua Rishayim derech Rishayim tzleicha. Why are the Chaim having success? Va'ilchem b'derech ha'torah v'ha'mitzvah. And those who go on the way to the mitzvah, tzrichem le'triach harbei v'avoida v'yigia tzumachulu. They have to work so hard to be able to accomplish the avodah. That's in the Sayan. V'omad bin Sayan shaloi la'arich chas v'shalom. And Avraham Avinu stood strong through the Nisayan not to have second thoughts. Chas v'shalom. That was by Avraham. Ubederach klal. By us also. Ribui aminiyas v'ikuvim al kiyam ha-mitzvahs. Ubefrat b'zman ha-golus. Shalom eitz v'esteinim im b'yosef. The tests and the halames and the disturbances are so much. Shemaynim u'ma'akvim ma'oit. They really hold us back very much. Umikol malkaim oimed bin esayin. We stand strong. We pass the test. Lamed neged kol meinei chulu. Al zeh oimed. It's for this that the pasuk is telling us and giving us a promise. Ki minas Hashem elikeichem eschem. That Hashem is testing us. Why is He testing you? Shoysim kamen nisyonos. That He's giving us all of these nisyonos. We know we're not going to fail. We're going to pass the test. What's the kavanah? To reach the level of das, which means shehu ha'akara belkus. It's the recognition of godliness. V'hargasha liyos ha'er eliki nirgash etzlei chulum. That the er eliki is mamish felt. Yet experiences it. In Perek Vav from Tanya, there's a gewaldige word Alter Rebbe says that gives us some light on this inyan. Alter Rebbe says there that every single thing that we do in this world, it says in Pirkei Avos, Kol ma'asecha l'shem shemayim. Do it l'shem shemayim. What if a person doesn't do it l'shem shemayim? We're talking about he did something, a kosher azach, no safek, it's 100% kosher, and he ate it. And he ate it not l'shem taiva. He ate it stam. Or any maisim, says Alter Rebbe. Kol ha-maisim, shenasim, tachas hashemesh, anything that the person does that's tachas hashemesh, that's under the sun, any maisim. V'chein kol ha-diburim v'ha-machshavos, asher lo la'havaya hema, v'lo l'ritzeinim v'avidasai. What does that mean? He's not doing something bad. The only thing that's missing, that he doesn't have a kavanah l'shem shemayim. He says that is that goes in the category of Sitra Achra. And they become levushim of Tuma for the Nefesh Habamis. What happened? He ate a piece of bread. His body needs it for health. He's not eating L'Shem Taiva, and it's 100% kosher. Just he didn't think it's L'Shem Shemayim. I'm doing this as avodah for the Eibishter. Says Al Tereba, that's all in the category of Tuma and Sitra Achra. Why? So one of the explanations to this is as follows. One of the chidushim of the Baal Shem Tov, I'll try to make this short, not to go off too far. One of the chidushim of the Baal Shem Tov about Chassidus is that ein oid milvadoi, even more so ein oid, Achdus Hashem. What is Achdus Hashem? Not that there is the Eibishter, and we are bottled to the Eibishter. Pshat von Achdus Hashem, as like the Baal Shem Tov says, God is Alts and Alts is God. The Eibishter is everything and everything is the Eibishter. What does that mean? There is no other power, no other existence beside Hashem. Even though there's a world and there are people and Bereshit B'Shvil HaTorah, B'Shvil Yisrael, we're all here. We should know what's our true Metzias, Elokus. And therefore, if I eat that piece of bread, and if I have anything less in mind than Alni Loi Nevresi Ela L'Shamish Etzkoini, why did they make us? To serve Hashem, which goes on 24/7 and every second of the day. We're doing it for Achdus, for the Eibishter. But if I dismiss that from my thought, it means Chas v'Shalom, like I'm giving kaiches to another existence in the world, giving a metzias to another existence. That's Hepech Achdus Hashem. What's true Achdus Hashem? That everything I do, and every move I do, and every machshava, dibur, ma'isa, it should be L'Shem Shemayim. It's a great avodah, right? That's why we learn Tanya. But at least we should know what the goal is and what the kavanah is. That to recognize that everything is Elokus. Tzaddikim who reach that level, they have the hakara. They feel Elokus. Therefore, everything they do, every move is Elokus. We work on it. And like Nitna, Taito Malachi Ashares. Taito wasn't given to angels, given to human beings. So we work on it. We learn Chassidus. And if we want to be somewhere at a certain level, says the Baal Shem Tov, Makom shemachshavti shel Adam, shamu nimtza. That if you have the kavanah, you want to be at a certain madrega, shamu nimtza. So we can experience it to a certain extent. I call upon him. What is das that we gain through the nisyonos? It's a hargosha in Elokus. The person experiences it like he experiences any other experience in his life, where he feels it in his bones. He feels it, it's part of his life. And that's what the Rebbe continues. Shadas, das is not just another level of hasaga, another level of hasaga. No. Because the Hasaga yesh kama milos. Hasaga has many milos and madregos. Shemesalami hasaga zu, hasaga al yoynachulu. When you're talking about hasaga, chachman bina, you're going from one level to a higher level. The calls are hu ba'hadraga. They're all based on levels. Aval inyan ha'hakara. We're talking about das, recognition. Harizeh kamay bechinas hareiyah. She'ein zeh b'hadraga lagabe hasaga chulu. It's not just another step higher than hasaga. And how do we reach this das? How? By yedei anisayon bal bechinas hadas. It's such a high madrega. How can we expect it from us? So the Eibishter once in a while gives us an assignment. And he says, look, you passed the test. Why did you pass the test? If not because you really felt Elokus, that's the emes Metzias ha'olam, emes Hashem la'olam. You felt this got to be done. Or I better not do that thing. Why does a person pass a test? Because he reached a level of hakara. That's where you reach through every Nisayan. And the Nisayan is not here just to give us a hard time, to make us struggle, but it's to bring us to a level of das. Shi aliyah shaloi b'hadragachulu. Now, what gives an Nisayan so much power to lift us up so high? So the Rebbe is going to tell us, because every Nisayan comes from Olam HaTohu. We just finished learning about Esav. And Yaakov, Esav was really from a very high madrega, but he fell down so low that he ended up Esav Arasha. Yaakov was not as high as him. That's why Yaakov sent Malachim in Parshas Vayishlach. He wanted to get from the Keiches of Tohu. But Esav wasn't ready yet for the Geula. That's going to happen by the Geula. So we see that Tohu is a very, very high madrega. And this Tohu brought a big mix-up in this world of Shviras HaKelim. Tohu was a Siba to the Eitz Hadas. And Eitz Hadas brought the world down from a level that first the world was so refined, even though it was a Gashmiistic world, but it was so refined that you saw Elokus. Gashmias did not cover over Elokus. The Gashmias was a vehicle to expose and reveal Elokus. But through the Chet Eitzadas, the world's Gashmias became a source of halonos v'astadim. Instead of calling out Einoid Mulvadoi, they show us Ani v'afsi oid, that they are in existence, so to speak, for themselves. This is the Rebbe saying now, Tam Shayidei Anisoyim, Mis'ala Kol Kach. Why is it through Nisoyim? A person is elevated so high. This Hester, what is an Nisayan? An Nisayan is like putting on a mask. When you see a person in the street with a mask, you don't know if the person is giving a smile or a frown. You don't know what's going on. The world is hiding Elokus from us. One big mask. Where does this come from? From Olam HaTohu. Shekenu b'chol ha'alamis v'astadim. Every single halam b'asted that comes in this world, Shem Shviras HaKelim, the Tohu. It all comes from the source of the Shviras HaKelim that happened in Tohu. Sharei hayesh hagashmi zeu helam b'asted Elokus. When you look at a Gashmias, you don't see Elokus. You don't see it calling out Eined Mulvadoi. What does it say? Ich bin Ametzias. I exist. I have my own will, my own desires. V'lachein kaiden chet eitzadas. Before the chet eitzadas, lo'yhoy'olam gashmi. The world was not such a gashmi. I don't know if the Rebbe means it wasn't gashmis at all. That was ruchnius. Because Bereshis Baruch Kimis Shemaim Sa'aretz, the Pashtus was Gashmias, but it means possibly, I'm just guessing, it wasn't such a Gashmias, which is Milam. Loi hoya Milam, Alelakos, the Ika Shechina Batachtena Moyesa. The main Shechina was Hilamata. How can Gashmias allow that Shechina should be revealed? He's saying, Shoy Gila Elakus Lamata Chulum. By day chet eitzadas nasa elon gashmi umaylam umaster chulu. V'yedua the chet eitzadas u'shviras hakelim u'inyan echad chulu. It's known, which is explained in other places, we're not going into that right now, that through the Chet Tzadas, which is really connected and is one with the Shviras HaKelim, that's all to cover and hide the Emes Hashem La'olam. So why is the Nisayan end up being such a big Helim, such a big concealment? Because it comes from Tayu as a big Kayach. To be able to cover over Elokus, you can't be just anyone. You have to come with big Kaychas. Where are the Kaychas? Because it comes from Tayu. The Chola Gavoya be Gavoya be Yesed. No, you feel mata be Yesed Chulu. The higher it comes from, the lower it falls. The marshal that's given in Chassidus of Chaimas Avonim, a wall that's made of stones, layers of stones. The stone that's on the very top is the highest. But if this wall falls over, which stone stays in its place? The bottom stone. Which one falls the farthest away? The highest. The higher it is, the farther it falls away. The higher it came from Olam HaToyu, came down Lamata as a Helen Behestan Elokus. V'im Kain, yesh b'zanitzitz godel v'gavoya b'yeser chulu. That's why in every Nisayan, there's a very big nitzitz there. V'yidei sha'onet b'Nisayan, mizbat ha'hesten u'meir ha'nitzitz b'shebozeh. When a person stands by the Nisayan, passes the test, the covering becomes batul, and the nitzitz of it starts shining. Valkein mis'ala yidezeh shloi b'hadraga. He's elevated in a very high level. So we see something that comes from a very high level can bring a person to a very high madrega. To understand this a little better, I want to add a word that the Rebbe says in the Maimer from Tafshin Yud Aleph, Yud Beis Tammuz. The Rebbe says there are two avodas that we have right now in the last days of Galus. We have avodas hanisyonos and avodas habirurim. What's the difference between the avodah of birurim and nisyonos? Birurim means that you're choosing good from bad. You're taking the nitzutze kedusha and elevating it to kedusha, and that's our avodah. A yid's avodah is to deal with klippus noiga, everything that's permissible in this world to a yid, and through doing the avodah with it, he elevates it to kedusha. Takes a piece of bread, eats a l'shem shemayim, he elevated the nitzutz to kedusha. All the other things that he had, a house, clothing, a car, whatever we use in Olam Hazeh, we elevate it to Kedusha. Why? Because it's klippas noiga. What's klippas noiga? It's a klippa. Klippa means it covers over elikos, but noiga means that there is an oil, there is a shine, there is a spark. The Kedusha that Hashem put into that object is shining. It's on the verge of being revealed. All it needs is a yid should get up and do the mitzvah, or take the piece of bread and eat it. Take the apple, say ha'etz, and eat el shem shemayim. Then you elevate that nitzitz. There's another avodah, and that's nisyonos. What is that? How in the world can yidden be maila the nitzotzos that fell down into gimel klippus hatmeis? How can a yid elevate the nitzutzos that came from Tayu, fell all the way down into Dvarim Tmeim, like it says in Tanya? All the things that are asur, that are forbidden. And their source of Kedusha is from Gimel Shalish Klippus HaTmeis. How do we elevate it? Says the Rebbe here, we could. How? Not through a positive act, but through a negative act, through refraining. How through refraining? If a person has something which is asur, and not kosher food, in that there is a nitzutz eloki from shalish klips atmeis. It has to be a nitzutz eloki, says the Rebbe. Otherwise, it won't exist. Just that this nitzutz eloki fell so deep down into the object that it cannot be revealed through the regular avodah of yid, of avodah sabirurim, of regular avodah, taking it and using it. So what does the yid have to do? Take a step up, another avodah. What's that avodah? Be ma'orer your yechidah shebenefesh. A yid has yechidah shebenefesh, which is not always revealed. And when a person is ma'orer his yechidah shebenefesh, that's such a powerful light that it attracts that nitzutz of shalish, klippis, hatmeis, that's down there in the dumps. It attracts it and sends it up to its source in Kedusha. So it's not through kum v'aseh, but it's rather from shev al taseh, from refraining. But how do I refrain? I have to be ma'orin in myself, a bittul atzmi, a toikef atzmi. Like the Rebbe says the Lashon in that Maimer, as ich bin taka garnished, aber an avodas Hashem, that nothing can stand in the way, and it has to be so. He has to pass the test by being ma'ored that nitzutz in my neshama. I'm not dealing with the outside world. I'm dealing with myself, and by being ma'ored in myself, that strong nitzutz, that is like a magnet. It attracts that nitzutz, and it's maila to kedusha. So I am maila shalish klippus hatameis, not directly but indirectly. Through what? Being ba'ored by me, my nitzutz. Let's look inside and see how this is what seems like the Rebbe is saying here. Va'yidei sha'omed bin Esayin mizbata la hester umeir hanitzutz shebazeh. What happens? We get to keep the dividends because it's such a strong oil from Olam Atayu. We're going to get some of the fruits. Al kain mis'ala al yedei zeh shaloi b'hadragachlu. That's why dafka from through an Esayin we can reach das, such a high level. The Rebbe brings a dogma from when we eat. When a person eats a davar gashmi, it adds chayes to kedusha because eating for sure l'shem shemayim. The chamra v'reicha pikchin, that when a person has wine or good smells, so it awakens him. Shezeo me'anitzot the tayu. It comes from the nitzotzos that came down for tayu. The loy al alechem levadei chulu. It's not the bread, the gashmistic bread that sustains us. It's the nitzutz elaki. Ki al kol moitze pi Hashem. When Hashem said tache haaretz deshe, and put the kaiches into the food that we eat, from the vegetation or anything, that's the moitze pi Hashem that sustains us. Shezeu b'chinas hanitzutz sheboi. Rak shabazeh ha'aliyah hu ba'adraga. When you're talking about eating a piece of bread, avodas habirurim, the regular avodah that we do, that's a way of hadraga. When we're dealing with avodas habirurim, you go one level, another level, another level. Ubahanisayin. That's such a bigger nitzutz, in a much higher level. That's why Avram was zeiche to such giluyim. So gam kem Avram, ayidei shetzirfoi bekivshon ha'esh, through purifying Avram through the fiery furnace. Shezeu mesidas nefesh mitzad haguf. That was his mesidas nefesh mitzad haguf, the gashmias. The guf gashmi is more sustained from gashmis has a higher shaydish than the neshama. Shari lo yoda sheyinatzel, ba'alach lisarev chulu. Avram did not know that he's going to be saved. He went to get burnt. All the nisyanis were gashmi stick in nisyanis. It wasn't something they had to do veruchnius in being misbainan in madregas of atzilus and lose himself. We're talking about gashmi stick in nisyanis. Mesidus nefesh shebeguf, mesidus nefesh that reaches that's in with the guf. Magia l'mayla yoser mesidus nefesh ta neshama. V'hainu lefi sha'aguf u'mebechinas hatoyu chulu. Because the guf, the gashmias, where does the guf come from? It says hu levadoi bekoichoi v'yacholtoi lahavos me'ayin ve'efes hamuchlot leyesh. The Eibishter himself, Anochi Mishanech, the highest level. That's where our guf comes from. Much higher than from our neshama. That's why it says, Lasid Levi, neshama nizin ma'aguf. That the neshama is going to be gaining oir and chayas from our guf. Because the real source, the level where the neshama, where the guf comes from, is from Eilam Atoya, a much higher level. And that's why Dafka the guf, Mesidus Nefesh, they did with the guf, brought him to such a high level. The Nakuda, what we're seeing here, is that we're talking about the level of Das and Hakara. Hakara and Elokus. Because that's the whole period. It says, Moshe Rabbeinu, his Doir HaMidbar, were Doir Deya. They were the ones that Moshe was mamshech to them Das. And we have the koyach through our avodah every time we go through an Nisayan to reach a level of Das. Hakara and Elokus. Now it's very fancy words, Hakara and Elokus. Can we have a Moshel Gashmi? What does it mean? What I think, the Rebbe, Tavshin Lamed Beis, I think it was, Achon Shel Pesach. The Rebbe asked a very simple question. It says, the Haftarah of Achon Shel Pesach talks about the promises Lasid Levi. We go to Haven Keves, the lion, and the lamb. Why talk about Gashmistic promises? Isn't the main thing of Mashiach Tzidkenu, like it says, Hine Yaskil Avdi? Yaskil Moshen Seichel. That Mashiach is going to teach Pnimis HaTorah. Why does the Navi emphasize B'chol Gashmias? Why is it important? Lasid Levi, who's going to think about that? So the Rebbe prefaces with a question. He says, first of all, what is the Chiddush of Mashiach Tzidkenu? What is he going to teach us that was unequaled? We never had this before. It says Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to teach us something that we never ever had before. And he's going to teach everyone, even Moshe Rabbeinu. In fact, the Rebbe, there are many instances that we find in the Shas of Yidden, people, Gedolei Yisrael, who learned the whole Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu himself got everything from Hashem. Kol Masha Talmud Vasik Asid L'Chadesh, whatever anyone will ever learn in the future, Moshe Rabbeinu had it already from Hashem. So what is Mashiach Tzidkenu going to add to Moshe Rabbeinu? Perhaps we can say, says the Rebbe, like what it says about the Harizal. It says by the Harizal went to sleep Shabbos afternoon, 2-3 hours, and he saw Giluyim in Yeshiva Shalamayla that would take him 60 or 80 years to articulate, to repeat it over to his Talmidim. If he wants to say it over, the 2-3 hours that he slept would take him 60 or 80 years. It will take him. Why? It's not because what he saw there was Beifin Klali, just general ideas, and now he has to articulate it. It's not enough of a reason to be such a difference in time. Navaden was Bechinas Re'iyah, visual. The Arizal saw the Inyanim. We, as much as we learn, we can understand, but we don't reach Hakara. We don't reach the level of seeing it. The Arizal saw it. Correct the Rebbe. So you're going to tell me that Mashiach has nothing to tell the Arizal. What is he going to tell the Arizal? What is that Arizal or other people who also saw Giluyim? What is he going to add to them? So after a long arichos, the Rebbe comes to a conclusion. The Rebbe says, first of all, how is it possible that one human being can teach millions and millions of people? How can he do that? How's it Shaykh Metzias? So the Rebbe explains like this. There is a saying, Eine doima real shmiya, that seeing is much stronger than hearing. In which way? When you hear something, it could take you 10 hours to hear the description of a certain thing. And if you see it, it could take you 1 minute. You look at the building for 1 minute. If someone wants to describe to you 770, he'll just show you a picture. It'll take a second. Re'iyah is so much more powerful than Shmiya. When you hear about it, it could take you hours and hours and hours. Number two, when you hear about it, you're not dealing with the the thing itself. When you hear about it, means the it is somewhere else. When you see it, you're seeing the mahus. So Re'iyah gets to see the mahus of the thing. That's another mila Re'iyah has over Shmiya. A third thing is his amtus. When you hear about something, you can hear about it from today to tomorrow, and you're convinced. But the next day, someone else can come and talk to you out of it. Because seichel is variable. You can talk the person out of it. But what if you saw it with your eyes? Once you see something, it's absolute. Says the Rebbe, we must say that Arizal, when he saw what's absolute. And he saw everything bebas hachas. He said he saw it in 2-3 hours, saw so much. He saw it in a way that's not disputable. He had all those milas. So what in the world is Mashiach going to add to someone like the Arizal, another tzaddikim who saw high madregas? Says the Rebbe, there's one more thing we didn't mention. What is that? Another difference between Re'iyah and Shmiya. Re'iyah is Gashmias. Shmiya is Ruchnias. When you hear sound, when you hear a voice, you're hearing Ruchnias. Not real Ruchnias, but it's not something visible. You can't see sound waves. It's more Ruchnias. When you see something, seeing is typhus and Gashmias. Says the Rebbe, that's the Chidush of Mashiach Tzidkenu. We're going to look at the Gashmiistic world, and we're going to see simple Gashmiistic objects. Vero, Cholbasar, Yachtov. What? I'm not going to see the table. I'm not going to see the chair. I'm going to see Kipi Hashem Diber. That's the Chiddush of Mashiach Tzidkenu. That was nothing happened like that before. To see that in the Gashmias itself, to see the Nitzatz Eliki, that's Mehave, Mechayo, Mekayim, that object. Like it says, I don't remember which Rebbe, maybe the Alter Rebbe, or maybe the Mizrach Magid. He was, before his Estalkus, he says, I don't see the beam on the wall, on the ceiling. I see the Nitzatz Eliki. They say that the Rebbe Rashab, once by a Fabrengen, took a plate, and he says, guys, you want me to show you the Nitzatz Eliki? I'll show you what's Mechaya, this plate. Well, apparently he didn't do it. But it's no doubt that a Rebbe, a Tzaddik, is able to see the Einei Basar. What does he see? He sees Elokus. There's a very, very interesting Sicha from the Rebbe, where the Rebbe talks about this, and he says that from all the Avodah that Yidden have been doing thousands of years, how come we don't see a change like that in the world? Usually, when you work on something, let's say you're building a table, so after you're halfway through, you'll see a half a table. You'll see something. In Golus, what do we see? Darkness, darkness, darkness. What's going on? So the Rebbe says here, Tzadikim, Nesiya Edoir, they have lichtika Eugen. They have eyes that they see the layers that are shedding from the Chayshech. And they see how through every mitzvah we do, another layer of darkness is going away. And they see how every day it's closer to Geula. They don't look at it the way we look. It's like, we'll say that an onion has many, many layers. So we look from the outside to the inside, layers, more layers. The tzaddik looks from inside out. He sees how many layers of Kedusha we have already accomplished. And he sees At Kumt Mashiach. And he's telling us, let's stick to the words of the Rebbe and realize the Rebbe, what the Rebbe says, that is emes. What we see is garnished. It means nothing. We don't have yet the level of Hakara and Das and Elokus. You learn Chassidus, you get a glimpse, you get a taste. There were once two people who went into Yechidus by the Mittler Rebbe. It's Kedai to tell the story of the Mittler Rebbe. And by the way, I just wanted to mention that Tzemach Tzedek says that the Mittler Rebbe's Histalkus was such a high level that since Reb Shimon ben Yochai, there wasn't such a holy Histalkus like the Mittler Rebbe. So the Mittler Rebbe, two people came into Yechidus, one after another. The first one was a Chassid. And he asked the Rebbe Shaila. He says, I'm learning Chassidus, I'm learning a lot of my Marim. It tells us how the world is batal tzalakus. How come when I look at the world, I see what I see? How come I can't see the emes? How come I see a table, a chair, a window, a door? How come I don't see the emes, the nitzatz eliki? And the Mittler Rebbe told him, Ilu nitner reshus la'ayin lirais, like it says in Tanya, if the eye was given permission, you would see. It's just mitzad bechira chavshis. In order we should have bechira, so the Eibishter does his game of putting us in a world we don't see the emes. We have to discover the emes. Okay? Daf Menarbe means Aveda. More Aveda on our part. Then came in the other person, was not someone who learned Chassidus, but he would look into Chassidus once in a while. I don't know if it was a Misnagid or Eil Misha, whatever. And he comes and he says, Rebbe, ich kann nicht verstehen. I'm learning Chassidus, and it tells us that everything is batal to Hashem. The true Metzias is Elikus. But Rebbe, don't you see there's a table? Don't you see there's a chair? Don't you see there's a window? Don't you see there's a door? How in the world can Chassidus come and say that it's really batal to Metzias? I see it does exist. It's not Chassidus say it's not existing. It's here. What's the difference between the Chassid's approach and the other approach? A Chassid knows Emes Hashem Le'olam. Chassid knows that whatever the Rebbe says is Emes. And if I see anything different, darf ich mannen von sich. I have to understand something is wrong with my eyes. I have to fix my lenses. And then I'll see the Emes. Not that I'm looking in this world and I see, za finstere Golos. Mit die Corona, mit die alle Sachen. What Geula, who Geula, wie Geula, when Geula? Are we looking with Chassidish eyes or not? We look with Chassidish eyes, what's Taitazak, das is Emes Hashem Li'olam. Taitazak, that every day is a moment closer to the Geula. The Rebbe says he gives man Golaschem. We see this and we see that. The kasha is on my eyes, not on the Metzias. Metzias is the way the Eibishter says. Torah is koiveya the Emes. Emes Hashem Le'olam. And this is something we have to work on. By learning in Yanei Geula Mashiach, the Rebbe says, this is the way to open our eyes. That my eyes that yesterday were closed and only saw other things, today it's going to be open. The Rebbe said, this is the way to Effen and the Eigen. We'll get Hakara through learning and trusting and believing in the words of the Rebbe. And since one of the main things of the Mittel Rebbe's Chassidim, it's known, is the inyan from Simcha. So we have to go about this with Simcha, because when you have more Simcha, the eyes work better. Shmua Toiva Tidashin Etzem. When a person has good news, it gives him fatter bones. What does it say at the beginning of the pasuk? That it pashut the Simcha that we have. This is something that can push us through the Geula, push us through the door once and for all. So the Eibush to helfen, since we're on Yud Kislev, that we should be able to jump into the Geula with a great dance, the great Simcha, and we'll enjoy the greatest Verbringen with the Rebbe. The Rebbe once said, what do you think Mashiach is going to do the first thing when he comes? Machen a große Verbringen. So we're going to have a great Verbringen, and we'll be able to have all the brachas. And as usual, I want to mention, and not just as usual, every time it's with new chidush, that this shir is Lili Nishma, Saluschus, Miriam, Bas, Ephraim, Ze'ev, that B'Kariv Mamish, she'll come back, and she'll be so happy how much we covered, and she'll join us with the shiurim, together with Mashiach Tzidkenu, Zayt alle gesund, and don't forget to learn something from Titus, from the Mittel Rebbe, and that will be, we did the Verbringen here, and then we'll have, it's like giving a pidyon nefesh, that the Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, and all the tzaddikim will finally bring about the Geula, take with me ad mamish, l'chaim.